Hi, I'm Jody Daly.
I'm Brian Sharoff, and this is PLMA Live.
Well, as you know, the coronavirus crisis has forced the postponement of many industry events around the world. And men and women in our country, many of them are working from home to keep things moving. Others, however, are at their desks at the office or even in stores themselves to maintain the basic services that America needs. PLMA would like to take our hats off to the executives, the staff, and personnel for all of their contributions to our country's safety during these extraordinary times. And we'd like to offer this news report to give you a little bit of an understanding of how our industry is being impacted by the coronavirus.
Let's start with Carol Angrisani and what retailers have been doing to help customers.
While many businesses had to close due to the pandemic, food stores remained open and ready to serve the shopper, especially the at-risk populations like senior citizens. Senior citizens received special attention from food stores in the form of exclusive shopping hours, discounts, even pre-filled grocery bags. And one program I want to mention comes from the Raley's supermarket chain in California. And what Raley's has done is they created senior essential shopping bags. Now what these are pre-filled shopping bags, and there's two different types of bags that can be purchased. One costs $20 and includes a variety of produce as well as Raley's own store brand groceries, shelf-stable groceries like canned soup, boxed pasta, and other nourishing foods. Another bag costs $35, and that includes a variety of heat and eat entrees as well as packaged salads and Raley's own store brand soup. Senior citizens have also received special discounts from supermarkets. For instance, the Brookshire Grocery Company in Tyler, Texas is offering a 5% discount on all grocery orders just for senior citizens, and that program will run at least through May 5th. Also new from Brookshire is a 5% discount on store brands. Now that's for medical workers, police officers, and everyone else serving on the front lines during the pandemic. What supermarkets are also doing is they're catering to senior citizens who may not be able to get out of their homes. In Texas, the H-E-B supermarket chain has launched a dedicated grocery delivery service just for shoppers who are ages 60 and over. Retailers have also worked to ease shopper fears about the status of the food supply. For instance, the Kroger company posted photos on social media showing the inside of its Louisville, Kentucky warehouse. And the photos showed an ample supply of food, including in-demand foods like its Simple Truth store brand eggs. Meanwhile, the Wakefern Food Corporation in New Jersey led a TV crew inside one of its New Jersey warehouses, and the footage showed a fully stocked warehouse. The footage also showed workers on forklifts getting pallets ready for shipment. So despite the increased demand, retailers want shoppers to know that the supply is there. Finally, retailers have mobilized to offer financial support to the communities they serve. The Kroger Company, for instance, has committed $3 million to various hunger relief efforts in its communities. And it's not alone. Many other chains have made sizable donations to hunger relief efforts in their communities. Back to you.
Thanks, Carol. Tim Simmons has this report on the private label supply chain.
Brian, the private label supply chain appears to be holding up well as retailers, distributors, and suppliers work together to put products on the shelves. But changes will be coming once the pandemic is over. The supply chain will have to deal with a big shift in demand as consumers adjust to what looks to be a deep recession. While Nielsen reports that the big CPG brands are gaining market share during the pandemic, things may be different once it's over. One industry guru, Neil Stern of Macmillan Doolittle, says that retailers need to quickly dust off their 2008-2009 recession playbooks. He expects to see big increases in private label sales. Stern forecasts even greater private label growth in price-oriented formats like Costco, Trader Joe's, and Aldi and Walmart. But he also sees opportunity for conventional retailers if they offer value early. Schnuck Markets is a leading regional grocer that sees the same opportunity. David Peacock, president of Schnuck, told analysts that shoppers are purchasing more private label products than ever. Schnuck had been working to increase private label sales before the crisis, and Peacock believes these gains will only accelerate after the pandemic is over. While some analysts think the big CPG companies may have an advantage when it comes to supply chain management, that hasn't always been the case. At Schnuck Markets, some of the big manufacturers have had problems as they've struggled with the complexity of their supply chain systems. On the other hand, it's likely that retailers will be pushing smaller and medium-sized private label companies to broaden the coverage of their distribution facilities and make costly digital investments to increase transparency. These investments may lead to more mergers or less formal collaborations as suppliers seek a larger scale to cover their costs. One wild card in the supply chain is the big growth in online shopping during the pandemic. If there is a long-term bump in online delivery and pickup, retailers could be asking private label suppliers to offer more multi-packs as a way to cover the higher costs involved. The retailers also may want more deliveries to so-called dark stores and automated mini warehouses inside their stores as they try to handle online orders. Back to you.
Coronavirus will have its long-term effects as well, and we asked Pascal Kuipers of Amsterdam to look at the vulnerability private label may face in the long term.
The long-range impact of the coronavirus crisis, especially on private label, is much more complex than it might appear. In 1940, an iconic photo was taken of three men browsing the shelves of a London bookstore, which was destroyed by a German bomb raid. The image clearly illustrates the persistence of human habit and business as usual, even in times of crisis. But for those watching the impact of the coronavirus around the world, it is obvious that there is no business as usual for private label and its supply chain. Change is needed to create a resilient supply chain for post-corona times, which will be agile and responsive to future crises and disruptions. This new supply chain needs to overcome the vulnerabilities of the current version, which have been revealed by the corona crisis. Retailers are supplied by a myriad of private label manufacturers. Mostly small and medium-sized, these manufacturers often struggle with demand volatility and logistic frictions. The corona crisis showed that to a considerable extent, many parts of the private label supply chain are China-centric. This has caused unavailability of ingredients, parts, or products. For consumer goods, this dependence on China and Chinese companies applies mainly to non-food. According to Euromonitor, China has a high impact on the supply chains of household goods, where it accounted for 35% of global production. And for textiles and apparel, 54% of global production comes from China. In food, there is no such dependence on China, but the crisis clearly has a strong impact on the food chain. Bloomberg refers to food nationalism, with stressed governments acting like stockpiling shoppers as they secure domestic food supplies. Especially in times of crisis, when agricultural commodities like wheat or rice are treated like strategic assets, such protectionism leads to disruption. This particularly endangers international supply chains with interdependent links of small and medium-sized companies, like the private label supply chain. The corona crisis shows that supermarkets are essential infrastructure for social stability. Commodity categories like canned food or paper items and fresh food categories are dominated by private label. The key question is how to redesign this supply chain so supermarkets can fulfill their essential role, especially in times of crisis. Trade relations based on lowest price are not going to work. Strategic partnership with long-term collaboration is a better solution. Companies can reduce their risks if they create a geographically diverse supply chain. Old habits may be ingrained, but the impact of the coronavirus shows that mitigating risk is a key element of a future-proof, redesigned supply chain. Back to you.
Thanks, Pascal. I hope this edition of PLMA Live has given you a better idea of the impact of coronavirus on our industry. For Jody and myself, thank you for watching.